Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our stress break. Today's stress break is going to focus on negativity bias and gratitude. This is one of the first live sessions that I did, and so I thought it'd be good to have it on here recorded. So, negativity bias matters because it's how our brain perceives situations. So, most of us think, or like to think, that we see things pretty clearly most of the time. And in some ways, that's true. But our brain has been built to keep us safe, not to keep us happy. And there's a few outcomes that come because of that. And one of them is negativity bias. So, what negativity bias means is that when we have positive experiences, they'll come, we'll enjoy them, and we'll let them go quite quickly. When we have negative experiences, they're sort of sticky in our minds. It's really easy for the negative things to stick and to stay with us. And so, if we get some feedback on some work that we did, and the majority of the feedback is good, and there's a couple negative pieces, for most of us, that's still going to be what we focus on, even though maybe there's only one or two things we could have done better, and maybe five or six that we did well. And so our brain does this for really good reasons, because keeping us safe is its absolute priority. And so let's say I was in a room of people and everybody was really angry at me. It's important for my brain to understand that super fast, because if there's a lot of people, it could be very dangerous for me if I don't get it, right? And I keep just kind of interacting like it's normal, even though everyone's getting angrier and angrier. So my brain wants to know that real fast. However, on the other hand, if everybody was smiling at me and I was really non-responsive to that, people might think I'm weird. They might not want to come talk to me, but I'm safe, right? There's not the same kind of risk. So my brain can take a little while to figure out that people are smiling, but it needs to respond super, super quick when there's negative experiences or angry faces, things like that. And what that means is that because there's this propensity to focus, it stays with us in a different way. And so for most people, they have done some research, and for most people, it's a 3-to-1 ratio. So for every 3 positive experiences you have, 1 negative experience, and you're even. Back to feeling neutral. So let's say you start out your day and you have a nice coffee, positive experience number 1. You are sad because you're not able to drive to work, and so you're at home. So maybe that's negative experience number 1. You have a nice email you come to when you first start your work, and you have a project you're excited about that day. Even though there's 3 positives and only 1 negative, for most people, we'd come out of that morning feeling neutral, feeling just okay. And well, that's not the worst thing. There's times where we're receiving a lot of negative information, or there's lots of stressful things to deal with. And this could be under times of stress for us, or something like this pandemic, right? There's constant information, and most of it's negative. And so if we know that our environment is already not maybe such a positive place, and we know our brain is going to focus more on the negative, we're really going to feel like we're in a worse spot than we are. And so it's important to find a way to work against that and to sort of fight against our natural tendencies there so that we can be both safe and happy. And so if you want to do more research or look into it a bit more, Rick Hanson is the guy to look up for negativity bias. So although we have negativity bias, we can do something about it. And that is gratitude. And so by practicing gratitude, we're focusing on positives, we're feeling that sense of gratitude, and by doing that, we're helping to rewrite our brain's natural tendency to focus. And we're rewriting it to focus on the positives. By taking a few moments every day to put gratitude into practice, we slowly but surely train our mind to focus more clearly on the situation so we can see things as they are. I think it's okay to be stressed out when stressful things are happening, and it's good to be happy when things are joyful. But I always want to know, am I really reacting to what's going on around me, or am I just reacting because of how my brain works? And I always want to fight against that a little bit so I can feel as good as the situation should allow me to. So to put gratitude into place, we're going to do a gratitude brainstorm, and then we're going to have some grateful moments. And it's just as easy as that. People sometimes think that gratitude is about good things happening to you, and that it's sort of like a passive experience. And this might be because when you were a kid, and you got a gift and you liked it, people would say you were grateful. You got a gift, you really didn't like it, they would say you're not grateful, And I think because of that, some people have the sense that it's a passive act. But gratitude is definitely active. Gratitude is a choice. It's not about sitting around and waiting for good things to happen to you. It's about, if something good is happening to you, making a conscious choice to appreciate it and to have gratitude. And if something is negative, having gratitude for different aspects of that situation. And so even let's say, you're inside and you're starting to get antsy, and so you feel some negativity or some stress about that. You can change your focus to how dry your feet are. because it is a wet spring out there right now. And if we were outside, we'd be getting wet feet. Maybe not all the time, but probably a couple times a week. And my feet have been bone dry and super comfortable this entire time. And so while it might seem silly, being able to know that whatever situation you're in, there's other aspects you can focus on, and that your attention is a choice and is within your control is really helpful, because it gives us an ability to take some control over what's happening to us, and it gives us an ability to have the same situation happen to us, but come out with different feelings depending on what we focus on. So we're going to practice reframing and focusing on the positive. So what I'd like you to do is grab a pencil or paper, or you can do it in your head if you'd like. I'd like you to pause the video and write down and do a brainstorm for things that you're grateful for. You'll need at least 3 for what we're going to do next, but I would suggest taking a couple minutes and trying to get as many as you can. Again, because this is a choice and this is a skill to pull out these positive aspects of our life, the more and more you practice it and do, the easier and easier these grateful aspects will come. And if you're sitting there and you're a bit stumped, or maybe you have your first couple that you write down and you don't know where to go after that, I always think to start with something that you really enjoy, that's really meaningful to you, and to ask yourself, what do I really need to make this happen? I once had a youth, I think about 10 or 11 years old, and he wasn't quite sure what he was grateful for, kind of got stumped. And I asked him what he was interested in, and he said hockey. And when we started asking questions about, well, what do you need to play hockey? Well, I need my stick, I need skates, I need the ice, I need my team, I need the other team, I need the food I ate this morning, I need someone to invent this game that I love. When you start really asking yourself what do you need, because things are so interconnected, you'll find a wealth of stuff, starting with what you really care about and asking yourself what you need to make that happen. So those are my tips for developing a gratitude brainstorm. Please take a second, pause the video, and write down at least 3 things that you're grateful for. But if you can, 5, 10, 15 would be great. Thanks. Okay, so we're back. And now with that list that you've created, we are going to highlight 3 things that we're going to do an activity on. Now, these are not your favorite 3. Don't worry. You don't have to choose between your child and your husband or wife. I just want you to choose 3 things so we can do an activity. So the easiest way to put gratitude into practice is just by taking grateful moments. So this is can be as low as 20 seconds. We'll do about 30 to 40 today, just so we can kind of get into it. It takes a little time when you're not used to it. What we're going to do is I want you to sit in a comfortable way, and I just want you to feel the feelings of gratitude as much as you can about each of these 3 items, and we'll take them one by one. And for some people, they like to close their eyes and focus just in on themselves. For other people, maybe looking down. Whatever it is for you that allows you to focus as much as you can on those positive, appreciative feelings. So, if everyone can get ready, if you can mark down on your list so it's easy to see which ones you're going to use for our activity, and I'll put 30 seconds on the clock, and we'll start feeling as grateful as we can for that first item. We'll start now. All right, thank you. And if you look down, we'll grab the second thing that we're grateful for. I would suggest if you had yourself seated in a certain way, eyes open, eyes closed, change something about it. We're doing this 3 times, so you can kind of experiment a little bit, find out what works best for you. We'll take that second piece that we are grateful for, and we'll just try to feel those feelings as much as we can. We'll start now. All right, great. And so, again, we'll take our third one. If you found one way you like doing this better than the other, go for it. Or if you want to try a third new way. And otherwise, we'll spend 30 last seconds. We'll focus in, and we'll feel those feelings of appreciation and gratitude as much as we can. We'll start now. Okay, great. Thanks very much. Take a second, check in, see how you feel now in comparison to when you started. For myself, I always feel a little more full and a little more calm. That's a consistent response I have to practicing gratitude. So, we did three 30-second moments of gratitude. My recommendation is if you like this, and if you find that you'd like to sort of shift your thinking a little more to the positive and a little more to clearly seeing what's around you, I'd recommend trying to put this in place a few times a day. You know, when I was leaving the house, I would try to do it on my drive to work or drive home, but maybe this is something you can do in the beginning and the end of your day, right? Or when you take a lunch break, something like that. For myself, if I put it into a structure I'm already within, it makes it easier to maintain it. And 2 to 3 times a day will hopefully help shift those things to the positive. I think that for most of us, when change happens, we're quite sensitive to it in a tight time frame. So, you know, if 1 hour to the next, if your emotions change, you're going to notice that. Even a day to day, you know, you're going to notice that you're a lot more tired or feeling different. Where people start to notice less is week by week, month by month, changes. These small changes are cumulative, they do have impacts, but they move very slowly. And so, as we're sort of settling into our new normal, but getting ready for, I think, a few more months of this newness and this new normalness, I guess, I think it's important to notice those very small changes. And so, by practicing gratitude, even if you don't feel like you're being caught up by negativity bias, even if you don't feel you're being caught in those things, it helps to keep you resilient. Because rather than your space being right here, right, we're stretching it out so that we have this for health, right? So every little thing we can do to add to it helps it. And if there are some things that are draining you and depleting you, but it's happening very slowly and so you don't notice, doing things like gratitude can also help keep us full, right? Even before we have to have that come to conscious awareness. So it's just a good way to keep ourselves healthy, just like we don't wait to watch our teeth decay before we start brushing our teeth, right? same sort of idea. Just those little bits every day. So I hope you've appreciated this stress break and that you're able to use some gratitude in your day. Thanks very much.